Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gavas Fareed, Industry Engagement Manager from the Office of Student Pathways within the Office of First Deputy Chancellor, New York City Public Schools. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all today. Today, we are going to be discussing the electrical apprenticeship program being offered by our partners at the Metropolitan Transit Authority. As many of you know, we've had a very long-standing and productive partnership and relationship with the MTA, and this city cannot run without the MTA, whether it's the buses, the trains, the various technicians, the people in the back office, and everybody else in between. This is the largest transportation organization in the entire continent of North America, and it is an absolute privilege to be able to collaborate with them. It's an absolute privilege that they choose to get some of their candidates for some of their very, very lucrative positions from our career and technical education high school. So I want to welcome all of the educators and staff and students today who are interested in this opportunity. On this call today, we have the dynamic Diana Arceniegas. We have the noteworthy Nyasha Williams and the wonderful William Ortiz. They are going to be doing most of the talking today. And it is my hope that you will find this session to be very informative and that you will be encouraged to apply to the opportunities that the MTA has to offer. I have left the chat box open. So hold on a second. I've left the chat box open. So please feel free to send any messages. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to use the chat box, or you can also message any one of us directly as well. And may I ask that unless it's your turn to say something, that you would keep yourself muted so that we can give the proper time and attention to the person who is speaking. And I'm going to turn it over to Diana, but before I do that, was there a question or comment before we continue?
Yeah, I was gonna just text you, but I was gonna say don't forget about Thomas Cruz from E&E.
Oh, Thomas Cruz. Yes. Thomas was actually one of my former interns. I didn't realize. I saw the name. Good to see you. That's the terrific Thomas Cruz. I've known Thomas since he was in diapers. He was one of our original interns when I first fell into the world of internships and workforce development. And he's a grown man now, making more money than I am. And I love to see the fact that he's given back to the system. He's given back to the various industry partners that have put him in the position that he's in today. So absolute pleasure to see you, Thomas. And Thomas also sits on our Automotive and Transportation Commission as well. It's always an honor to see him. Thank you for that, William. I wasn't sure if that was Thomas or not when he logged in. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Diana Arceniegas, who is the Senior Director of Emerging Talent. Take it away, Diana. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited to share a little bit more about this program. Super excited for you to also hear the experiences that we have from some of our previous program participants. And also, please note, if you do have any questions, feel free to enter them in the chat. We'll be working together. Nyasha will be checking and answering any questions wherever possible, and also providing maybe some supplementary information as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So please just bear with me, and then I'm going to share more about the program. So I just want to get so it looks like it's going into the presentation mode. I don't want it to, so I'm just going to just make it a little bigger here. Can you all see my screen okay? Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the welcome. Again, as Gav mentioned, I'm Diana Arceniegas, Senior Director of Emerging Talent at the MTA. My role is quite new at the MTA, so we've carved out Emerging Talent, and our team is responsible for partnerships, external partnerships, also responsible for supporting on the HR side, recruitment for our student programs, and in some cases, managing some of the student programs, such as our college internships and a few other high school experiences that we have. But this is, of course, for our transit apprentice program. In terms of the overview of the program, it's a 36-month program, so it is quite intensive, and it really gives everyone in the program hands-on experience, valuable work experience to build on their career. folks in this program are going to get exposure to departments such as elevator and escalator, or E&E, what we say here, signals, HVAC, car equipment, and hydraulics. You are paired with other folks that are in the business already to develop these skills further. And in addition, there is also personal and professional development that's a focus here at the MTA. And specifically, it would be professional and personal development on the New York City Transit side. And upon completion, there is opportunities to take a promotional exam and become a permanent team member at the MTA. A little bit more about the program history. So the program has been around since 2007. It did have a pause, but it was relaunched in 2016. That relaunch had about 27 folks in the cohort. There was a pause during the pandemic, so it did pause in 2020, but has still continued. And we're so happy to report that we've had about 150 apprentices hired, and our most recent group from last year was a cohort of 33. So the program benefits, I'm going to read these line by line because I think these are really important to call out. So it's competitive in terms of pay. So it is $24.93 an hour. There's on-the-job training. So you're learning from other folks that are both in the program and also in the business. A really nice perk, there is a free transportation pass. There are paid vacation days, holidays, and sick days. You do get a qualification for certain promotional civil service exams at the end of the program. So as I mentioned, there is an opportunity there. There's a comprehensive benefits package, includes medical, dental, vision, and flex spending accounts. And I think everyone on the line that works for the company could attest that they're really great benefits. And also there is an opportunity to be part of the pension plan, which nowadays we know is quite rare in a lot of companies. There's also the opportunity for a deferred compensation plan. And also a nice perk is tuition reimbursement, again, going back to that goal of professional development. So to highlight benefits of the program, so you are earning and learning at the same time. So again, rolling your sleeves up, getting that experience and earning that competitive compensation. You're getting that on-the-job training and also classroom learning. So it is hybrid, they work hand in hand. Folks are gaining those skills and that experience while they're on the program. And again, what we mentioned before, there's that personal development, developing your skills, but it's also developing management and leadership skills. And also, as we mentioned before, that opportunity for tuition reimbursement. It could be courses outside of the MTA, which also ties again to that professional development. We do have some feedback and helpful tips from apprentices, both former and also on program. So what have they said about the experience and how it's been? Folks say that it's a great experience, that they learn a lot, and also it's flexible enough to be able to go to school and work at the same time. And what do they say about telling your younger self what to expect on the first day? I think this is pretty universal. It's never too early to save money and don't spend too much. But because there is that pension and all of that planning, it's a great opportunity there. Don't tell people how much you make. I think that's a good practice to have. Leave the high school stuff in high school. So this is an opportunity to go into the workforce. So that's the helpful advice there. What did folks dislike about the job? The realities of being in the job market is getting up early. There's sometimes changes in schedule. At times, there could be long commutes and working overtime during emergencies. And so, as was mentioned at the beginning, we're a very, very large transportation company, and we are transporting millions around the clock. So that's the reason why some of these, reasons that folks may have disliked the job. But what do they like most? That competitive hourly rate that was mentioned before. It's different and it keeps folks on their toes and engaged. And also the long-term benefits of working in transit, as mentioned before, the retirement options. And what have been some of the biggest regrets not starting college as soon as possible? Again, we have that tuition reimbursement option. And once folks are eligible for it, it's something that, something to take note and take advantage of, or not starting earlier and joining the 401k plan. In terms of where folks see themselves in the future, we talk about those possible opportunities where folks can transition into permanent roles at the MTA, elevator and escalator maintainer, road car inspector, HVAC maintainer, and hydraulic maintainer. But now this is feedback from our program participants before and in writing, but we can hear live from some of our program participants here. So we have William and Thomas on the line. So I'll open it up to William to talk a little bit more about their experience, and then Thomas, feel free to chime in after William is done.
Afternoon, everybody. All right. So right now, I'm a provisional car inspector. As you already know, I started as an apprentice 5 years ago. So right now, I am 2 years, 7 months in as a provisional car inspector. Soon I'm going to take my test to become permanent. It's been a great experience. I currently work in Livonia Barn. So that's the 3 trains, the trains that I maintain and fix. Like I said, it's been great. I still work alongside with the apprentices that I came in with, former apprentices that I came in with, right? So we all pretty much went to this barn. We're kind of like a family, right? So when you get into the program, right, and you work 8 hours, 5 days out of the week, you're with those same people 5 days out of the week. You're with them more than you are with your family. So, when you come into the program, it's important that you guys, learn with each other, build each other up. So you guys move up fast together, right? A lot of the people that are supervising us, right, they were apprentices 10 years ago. We even have apprentices from 20 years ago in this barn, right? So to see them and to see how quickly they moved up is like very inspirational to us, because it shows that they worked really hard. They did everything they could to learn and acquire more skills under their belt, and they moved up fast, right? So, like I said, I work in Livonia Barn. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see the train behind me. 3 train, these are what we fix, right? So, yeah, like I said, you want to get a lot of things under your belt. You get a lot of training that you would have to pay for on the outside, right? So HVAC, forklift training, OSHA 30, a lot of other requirements that you need for this job, right? You'll get trained by the MTA. She mentioned the tuition reimbursement. Just to let you guys know that for the tuition reimbursement, you can also use that for accredited classes. Like if you were to take a plumbing class, you can get a tuition reimbursement for that because it's an accredited class. As long as it's accredited, and you can get that tuition reimbursement. It doesn't have to just be for college. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody has questions willing to answer.
mean, I think while maybe questions are coming in, William, do you have like any helpful advice? I know from the last page, it was from a few folks that either are or previously were on the program. Is there anything else that you could add? And Thomas, when you're up, would love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, so yeah, like I would say, you know, one of the things that you brought up in the slide was leave things in high school, right? So obviously you guys are graduating from high school, coming into the apprenticeship program. You guys want to mature quickly because you are going to be working along with adults, right? They are going to be training you, showing you how to do certain things so you guys can acquire those skill sets to the point where once you graduate from the program and you become a car inspector or whatever field that you guys got into, you're going to need those skills to be able to perform on the job. So when you're here for the 3 years, make sure that you learn as much as possible, take notes. We actually go to school more than the people that are coming in from the outside, right? We take more classes from the than the people that are coming in from the outside. So you have that opportunity to, gain more knowledge than people who are applying from the outside to get into this job, right? So you want to take advantage of that as much as possible. Just keep your head up. As far as money goes, I would say definitely invest your money into a 457 401k. Put money aside, set money aside, figure that out. Definitely set money aside, whether it be a life insurance policy or 401k plan. Definitely set money aside. We do have a pension too that automatically comes out of your check, and among other benefits, right? So just be very level-headed and take as much as you can in, because again, once you become permanent, you're going to need a lot of the things you learn, right? You don't want to go through 3 years of the program and by the time you're assigned to do work on your own, you just don't know anything, right? So take advantage of that. I don't have anything else at the moment to think about to say. So if you guys have any questions, please ask. I'm, more than willing to answer.
William, I do have a question. Is there anything that stands out to you as something that you've had to learn on the job that you feel like you didn't learn back when you were in high school?
So if there's anything, there are going to be certain situations where you're going to be put in like a leadership role. Even though I'm not a supervisor, I do right now, as it currently stands, I've been breaking in and training other my coworkers as they were with me. If I were an apprentice, right? You're gonna be in those leadership positions where you're gonna show your coworkers how to do something and train them and making sure that they know what they're doing. I thought that stand out to me because I build leadership qualities early. So when I do go into the supervisor position, I already know what to do. I can not only just have the title of supervisor, but I also have those leadership skills to guide my workers, right? And it makes the job easier for myself and everybody else. You build a reputation like that, right? Where everybody knows, okay, they can depend on you for answers and stuff like that, and you're able to relate that to other people, right? I thought that stand out to me, right? Talking about as of recent, during the time that I was an apprentice, if I can say what stand out to me as an apprentice, I would say just how when you observe people, you'll notice a difference between who takes a pride in their work and who doesn't, right? And those that take pride in their work, they actually those are the ones that know the most, right? You have to be willing to learn and know what you're doing, right? Because then people will look to you to depend on, whether it be your supervisors or your coworkers. So definitely take pride in your work. Do everything by the book, right? Do everything correctly. Make sure you're always covering yourself, you know, as far as when you do your jobs, take notes on what you did. You know, I thought that stood out to me where I've been put with people that knew what knew what they were doing, and they were able to express, okay, these are the mistakes I made from the past when, you know, doing certain jobs, and I learned from them. You want to learn from, you know, your mistakes and be able to move forward, right? Because you build up your skills like that. So I thought that stood out to me.
That is one thing. They can go to college and for the apprenticeship
Hold on, you're breaking up.
and do the apprenticeship.
You're still breaking up.
Yeah,
We can't hear you.
Yeah. I think I heard him say college in the question. So I know he said, "Can someone go to college and do the apprenticeship at the same time?" I, yeah, I mean, we had a couple apprentices that they were doing college and the apprenticeship program. It's a lot because you have to do work from college, right? Homework, study, and then you have to kind of study the materials that you get from work because you do get material um, things from work. You know, like you'll see a book like this, right? And you know, if you were um, given a class to go to, and you're given materials, you have to study that material. So when you are put to a job that you took a class for, then you have to kind of have to know that job well, right? Because you took the class for it. So you have to kind of study the material too. So, but people can manage both. Like it just all depends on your time management skills, right? So time management is very important. Manage your time. If you know you can, I went to college, but after 7 weeks, I just for personal reasons I dropped out. Um, but you would just have to let whoever your instructor is, or like if you can't, if it's a college where you have to attend in person, see if there's options for, you know, through video or Zoom. So you would just have to work that out. But people can do both the apprenticeship and college at the same time. Yeah. But if any of you guys, the students, right? Because I definitely want to, you know, hear what you guys have to ask me. You know, don't be afraid to ask because I want to answer, you know, your questions. You know, it's you guys that are coming in, so that I want to make sure that you guys know what you're getting into before you come in, right? And how you have to set yourself up for when you come in is very important, right? Because you guys are teenagers going into your adulthood, right? So you guys are adults. You have a pension, right? Most of you are probably like the youngest we had in our group was 16 years old. He was in E&E. He's 16. He has a pension. I don't know if he set up his 401k. I imagine he did, right? He has a pension, 401k, maybe, life insurance at 16, right? So some of you are probably 16 to 18, right? You guys are going into the work field and you guys getting benefits early. So it's important for you guys to understand that you have these responsibilities early, right? You're officially an adult now. You're making enough money where you can pay rent at your parents' house, of course, right? If those of you not planning to move out, some of the well, I'm not gonna say the names. Some of the it's not a bad thing if you guys choose to stay with your parents. That's even better because you know you might not want to move out. It's costly. Like you have to pay rent, utilities. Um, you know, I actually rented for almost 3 years, and then I got my house because I got tired of renting. So, you know, you guys want to. That's why I say manage your money, not just your time, but also your money. Right. One of the in the slide, she did mention, you know, save money early. Definitely do that. Definitely do that. I know some of us when we came in, some of us didn't do that. So then later on, they were like, you know, I should have did this early because once you start getting that type of money, you want to make smart decisions, whether it be investing, um, yeah, just investing or how you want to spend your time, right? You want to make sure that you have money for emergency too. Set your money aside. Um, but definitely plan out the next 3 years or more once you graduate, how your life is going to be, what you're going to have, what is it going to look like financially for you, right? So that's also the important aspect of the job is making, because in my experience, working along other people from different locations, because this is not the only barn I worked in. I worked in East New York barn. I worked in the Bronx, East 180th, Pelham, Diesel. I've worked in 207, which is in Manhattan. I worked in Corona in Queens. Where else? I never worked in Picken or the other barns that I didn't mention, but I've worked in a lot of barns. And like I said, working with different people, I see how they move, their actions, um, especially when, you get overtime, because we do get overtime at this job. You don't want to live off of the OT or overtime that you're getting. Some people live off of the overtime. And so when they don't get overtime, you kind of notice certain behaviors and actions that are not appropriate towards the other coworkers, right? So not saying like a very bad behavior, but like sort of kind of cutthroat ish things. You guys want to make. That's why I say manage your money carefully, right? I hope I'm not like taking up too much time because
No, you're good, William. I was just gonna say, yeah, it's just reinforcing that point to plan early. And I think really
yeah,
that's like a common theme that there is, again, it might be a standard here at the MTA, but it's not in other industries. Pensions are not a thing anymore. There are retirement plans, but in this case, you're able to plan and have these two routes. So it's a really unique opportunity while getting all this like on the job exposure.
yeah.
I do want to also call on Thomas to talk about their experience as well. And of course, if you have other questions, the chat is open, and William, maybe you could answer questions there. But I'll let you wrap up, and then you can hand it over to Thomas.
All right, no problem. Thomas, I'm sorry about that, bro.
Yo, it's all right, bro. I'm enjoying your conversation, bro.
It's all good stuff.
Enjoying it.
Yeah, so all right, so I'm seeing questions. Josiah, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, says, what did the process of becoming an apprentice look like for you? The process in the beginning, you're giving your high school diploma, your CTE diploma, your resume. After that, you go to 180 Livingston, and it's just a lot of paperwork in the beginning. So you have to give in all, whatever paperwork you need to produce your paperwork early. For me, I would say towards the end of the apprenticeship program, right? Whatever department you're in, if they require a driver's license, and probably most of you don't have a driver's license, if they require a driver's license, get that early. Me, I was just bad at it. I was always a procrastinator. So I actually got my driver's license the day I was supposed to give it in, right? So I passed my test the same day and got my driver's license that same day that I passed my test. And that was the same day I had to give it in so I can become a provisional car inspector, right? So get these things early. Don't be like me, right? Don't do that. So, make sure you get certain documents early and get it ready. When it's given to you, get that done early. Don't procrastinate. For Carlos, right? I see. Are you happy with your decision to joining the MTA? Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't really have the life that I have now. Pretty much enjoying, my time here. I actually like what I do. right? I enjoy what I do. If you like what you do, then you stick with it. If you don't, you can use it as a start until you move on to something else. But for me, I like what I do, and I am happy with my decision. I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I'm definitely happy with my decision, and I know the coworkers that I work with, they're happy with their decision because they're still working here, right? They're staying, and we're all doing great. We're all doing great things here. I see another great job and great. All right, hey Anthony Cooper, yeah, hey Mr. Cooper, he was my teacher in transit. I had him once, so I don't know if for some of you students, if he's still ripping armor cable out of your projects on the wall. I don't know if he's still doing that. But yeah, I'm done. I
I'm a
want
little
to
too
pass it
old
over to
for that.
Thomas. What happened?
I said I've gotten a little too old, so I'm not as strong as I used to be.
All
Thanks
right.
for remembering.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so I'm gonna pass it on to Thomas.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. My man William Ortiz, man. I remember we used to go to high school together, man. I graduated in 16. I don't remember when Williams graduated, but in
2018.
2018, I got you. 'Cause
18,
I
18.
remember, which one?
2018.
2018. Oh man, you were a lot younger than me. Oh man, I thought we were only 1 year apart. So in 2016, I started transit. I started the Transit Electrical Helper Program. I graduated from Transit Tech High School as well in 2016. I also had Anthony Cooper, who was a great shop teacher. And when I first started the program, it was a little overwhelming at the very beginning. You came straight from high school, and now you're working in the field with people you never met before, people with different lifestyles. But one thing I'll say is that the program is very catering to what you need. Like one example that William was sharing about going to college, I remember that if anyone was applying for City Tech or any other programs in CUNY and stuff like that, that they would always try to make arrangements, put you to work in the afternoons, or if you took afternoon classes, you worked in the daytime. So if you guys are coming into this program and stuff, always communicate with your liaisons, because once you get out into the field, you're going to have liaisons depending on the department that you have. Like an elevator escalator, I had a liaison that you communicated with them if you had any issues going on the job site or even outside of work, because that's the thing. Even things outside of your control will affect you at work. So it's always good to have a constant communication, and that's the good thing about being an apprentice, is that if you would have came in as a helper, you're really on your own. But with the apprentice program, not only do your liaisons look out for you, but also other workers, like William also said, that used to be apprentices, help you. They help you to learn. They help you to educate yourself on different things related to the job. Like I was an apprentice from 2016 to 2019, but after 2019 to present, I've been an elevator escalator maintainer. So I've also been helping other apprentices that came in. I try to show them how to do things correctly and how to do things safely. So once you come out into the field and you go into your different divisions, you'll get to meet people. You'll know who you could depend on, who you shouldn't really look to for advice. And these are all things that, you're gonna have to develop as you're working over there to know who to be with and who not to be with. And honestly, right now in high school, you should really be focusing on these last couple months is developing soft skills for when you go out into the field, because a lot of you have been studying electrical, but you got to start talk to your shop teachers about how to deal with other employees, how to deal with other managers, how to deal with your supervisors, because all these things is once you go out there, it's going to be different than you just getting told by your teacher to do something. You're going to have to deal with rules and regulations and different things. So focus on this time now to try to accustom yourself to being in a work environment so that once you do go out there into the field and you're out in the working environment, that nothing catches you by surprise and that you're ready to work. So these are just things that I guess that you should be thinking about before you graduate and along those lines, so that once you are in the apprenticeship program officially, that you're able to work and do it to the best of your abilities.
I think somebody has a question for you.
It was
Calvin?
chat, right?
Kevin? Yeah.
Which was the last one you were on? Mr. Della Cuesta still rips out BX cable. Oh man, Mr. Della Cuesta still at Transit Tech, man.
I was
That's a
No,
good.
I think he's in the school with Cooper.
Oh, oh, I got you. If you graduate the apprenticeship and you wanted to switch professions within the MTA, how easy is it to make that transition? So once you come into the apprenticeship program, you from the recent apprentices, because when I came in, you were assigned your division. I was assigned to elevator escalator. I didn't have a decision. Other apprentices were given the decision on what to choose. But once you graduate the apprenticeship program, you're out as a mechanic. So now you're work for the transit authority and you're part of the union. You can make slight switches, but if you choose elevator escalator, you would already have been doing elevator escalator related work for the last 3 to 4 years. So it won't really be easy for you to move from elevator escalator to signals because they're vastly different professions. Like even for you guys right now, when I first came to transit as an apprentice, I just came from Transit Tech High School doing residential electrical. So I knew how to do wiring, most of the same stuff you guys did with BX cable, EMT, and rigid metal conduit. We learned how to do all that. And as soon as I came to the elevator industry, we were dealing with pneumatic systems for hydraulic elevators. We're dealing with motor controls for traction elevators that use ropes. So it was a quick change that, and I haven't wired. The only time you wire a light switch is if you're fixing something in the motor room or if you're changing a ballast in the motor room. Most of our stuff now is dealing with motor controls and pump controls. So when you come here, when you come out as an apprentice, you're gonna learn things dedicated to your trade, and there really won't be that much movement after you graduate because then it's like you could relearn something and move around. But from my experience in elevator escalator, we're very particular in our trade, so it's harder for that trade to move around. I don't want to speak for maybe car equipment where maybe you guys might have similarities with other departments, but for E&E, once you complete that, you won't really have much movement. But honestly, if you come to E&E, you won't want to leave, so you don't even have to worry about that. Do we work with PLCs? Yes. Yes, we have a lot of PLCs. Most of our controllers are PLC related, all the modern ones, because it used to be a lot of relay. It's still relay logic, but now it's mostly solid state stuff, like on the controllers and everything. So you'll be learning a lot of troubleshooting. If you come to E&E, you'll be put with guys that are master troubleshooters, and you'll be put with guys that aren't. But the guys that are master troubleshooters, just make sure to remember everything they have. We even have a title in E&E called elevator escalator specialist, which makes even more money than I do. And all they do is go around reprogramming PLCs, replacing PLCs, and honestly, it's a very, very rewarding job. What? Can I have your email address? To invite you to Transit Tech High School. Thank you. One Transit Tech CTE High School Assistant Principal. Oh, nice to. Oh, it's good to see you, man. Yeah. I haven't been to Transit Tech in forever. That'll be very nice. Thank you. But also back to the PLC stuff. Also, I think that also in other divisions they also have the PLCs because that's usually common with anything that has motor controls. And so I think the fan plants for hydraulics has that, and the signals, I think they also have PLCs as well. So, if you could, I saw that Anthony Cooper was the one that put that question out there. So if you go to Edison, maybe you could ask Cooper about how to start learning about how PLCs work and other motor control stuff. Because honestly, for anybody in any school, I think majority of our stuff, I think even Williams, I'm gonna ask you that question too, because I think most of our stuff is all motor control related with troubleshooting wise. And I believe it's the same for you, William, right?
No, it's actually everything. Regarding the trains itself, first of all, when you go to a barn, there's different positions. You have house maintenance, right? Where house maintenance, they pretty much fix everything in the barn. They don't work on the trains because they're house maintenance. They just fix whatever needs to be fixed in the barn, whether that be lights or a locker room, the bathroom, or whatever. If you pick the inspection, you're inspecting the cars, making sure everything is running as intended. If you're in troubles, I'm in troubles. I repair what was reported the day before, right? So whatever was reported, I repaired. So it's not just motors. We work on motors too, but we work on a lot of other things, whether that be the lights in the cars. Um, right now, like I said, I work overtime where I install cameras on the train. So a lot of you, when you guys take the train, you're gonna see the lens, right? And you're gonna see the camera where the map is. Just know me and my team, that's what we install. So we do a lot of things. Not just motors.
Yeah. Nah, man, it's really been like the one thing that a lot of that troubleshooting stuff, really comes in handy. So if you guys could talk to any of your shop teachers, whichever shop teacher, whichever school you go to, you can learn about troubleshooting. Because I would say that might have been the one thing that snuck up on me in once I came out into the transit authority, was that we were always building things in transit tech. It was, we build all this, we built these amazing three-way circuits, all these different things, but I never knew how to make sure they worked if something broke, if a wire was broken or if control wasn't working or if a power supply was bad. But I'm not gonna blame my teachers, because honestly, that could have just been me not listening. So I'll take the hit on that one. But once you guys come over here, you are gonna learn new things. You're gonna expand on your knowledge. And that's also another thing, going back to the college, was that many of the guys that I know, that they went to City Tech and they took engineering programs, and it helped them excel. That not only were they learning at work, they were learning in college, and they were able to bring a lot of that here. And if you don't go to college, which I personally didn't go to college, there's many programs in transit itself. They have a wonderful electronics program that they have at 14th Street that I went to for a month. It helped me a lot with learning, and that was all paid for by transit, and it was while you were working. And there's many different classes. There's PS 248, which for elevator escalator has a model escalator there that we work on, that we've always been able to improve our skills. And I'd say that's the one thing, one blessing really from transit, is that transit's always willing to help you learn. They're not gonna just throw you out there and you're gonna get confused and you're gonna get lost. If you want to learn, they'll provide a way for you to learn. So once you guys go out to the field, once you guys come over here, you'll see, and just show that you're willing to work, and many mechanics will always be willing to help you learn. So that's at least for you guys to always keep in mind. Once you guys start, show a dedication to the work, show a passion for what you want to do, and most of the times there'll usually be someone there that's willing to go out of their way to help.
I think I could continue with the presentation. I appreciate William and Thomas. Thank you so much for your insight. Again, I feel like, working in HR, I could talk about the general information, but so much better from hearing from folks that have been in the program, in the shoes of the program participants. So I appreciate it. But if there are more questions, like, feel free to, still have them come in. I'm sure that they'll get answered, and maybe even if we have some time at the end, we could try to answer them as well. William brought up a little bit of this in terms of the process. So I'm going to be talking about that next. So what do you need to qualify for this opportunity? Must be a graduate from a CTE high school with a specialty in the following: electrical, electromechanical, electronic technology, mechanical, and/or construction trades. There is also a requirement for a transcript of the chosen specialty area with a good academic record, so 75% or better, and we do vet this through the process. That there are no more than 7 unexcused absences or lateness in your senior year. That there is a personalized recommendation letter from the school or an organization, and it has to be in their letterhead. That you are a U.S. citizen or possess a valid permanent residency card. Some of you may know it as a green card, or employment authorization. So permanent working, being able to permanently work in the U.S. The selection process, I sort of went over it. So interested students will submit the following documents. So it's the transcript that we mentioned that will support the 75% average or better in the CTE courses, the personalized letter of recommendation on the appropriate letterhead, the attendance record with no more of those 7 unexcused absences or lateness in senior year. And also there would be an evaluation of the documents, and selected folks will come in to meet the team. And so prior to the meeting, the applicants must complete a survey. So it is part of our process and a way that we evaluate the process. And for folks that come into the meeting, there are a few documents that are required. One of them is valid I-9 documents. So for example, a passport, the green card, an ID, a social security or ID, and also birth certificate. For any folks that are under 17, a student ID is suffice. For processing purposes, we'll need additional documentation as well, such as the social security card and birth certificate. And then finally, mandatory as well, high school diploma with the CTE seal. And then after the formal meeting, final candidates will be informed of their acceptance via email. So an example of a few of the documents that I just mentioned. So the transcripts are only accepted in this format. So you'll see here, student permanent record, not the transcript. So just be mindful of that. And also we'll need the attendance record. So that again will show that there's no more of those 7 absences or late or tardiness in your senior year.
Sorry, Diana, can you
Yeah, of
just
course.
quickly go back to the transcript page?
Sure.
So a lot of you are already familiar with this. As Diana mentioned, for the transcript that has the check mark, it's super important that your CTE classes are under that one particular sorry, I'm blanking on the word, but they need to be categorized as career and technical education courses, and they should all follow that particular format. It's preferable. I have seen transcripts with the X where the classes are a little bit all over the place, and it just makes it a little bit cumbersome trying to find each individual class. So we really do request that you submit them as categorized as possible as career and technical education. It gives us a better idea of your overall grade point average, as well as your grade point average for your career and technical classes, as well as gives us an idea of the types of classes that you had, as many of the CTE individuals that I've reached out to in the past, they've shared with me the CTE curriculum of the courses that you take. So I have a little bit of an idea of the classes that you're taking. So that's why we require the transcript submitted in this particular format. Thank you, Diana.
Of course. And so that just kind of goes back to the point of making sure that you have the documents ready for if you're invited. And as Nyasha mentioned, it really just makes the processing that much easier when folks are being onboarded. And then just going back, the attendance record, this is an example of it. And then the personalized letter of recommendation, you'll see here that someone had given a recommendation from Bronx Design and Construction Academy. So it is personalized. It talks about the candidate. So it could come from a teacher, an advisor, a mentor, guidance counselor, and or current or former employer. Do not write the same letter for each student, again, personalized. So we do review the applications and talk a little bit more about the size of the cohort. But we do think this is a disservice to the students, and we really want to know more about like how the students stand out. So this is for folks that could potentially write recommendations. And then finally, again, can't stress it enough, must be on letterhead. And so, as I mentioned, additional information. So there is a link for the application. And so there you'll be able to provide the information that's requested, the transcript with 75% or better of all the including the CTE courses, the recommendation letter, and that record. This is a competitive program. There are 12 slots available, so please note that. The applications are due by June 30th. And now, Nasha, correct me if I'm wrong, they will open May 1st?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so there is still time, recognizing that there are a lot of things that are on the horizon, a lot of activities outside of this application. So again, it will open May 1st and it will be open until June 30th. Now, if there are any additional questions, there is a mailbox and it is monitored by the team, and we're more than happy to provide clarity. And that mailbox is hsprograms@nyct.com. And finally, some FAQs. Again, the mailbox, if there are any questions or you wish to contact us. Just a note there, we're not accepting applications through the mailbox. They do have to go through the application link, and only during the times that the application link is open from May 1st until June 30th. How many slots? Well, we do have 12. Nayesh, I don't know if you want to clarify this, varies depending on the need.
Yes, so as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, last year we accepted 33 apprentices into the program. That was the largest class we have had since the start of the apprenticeship program. So as you can imagine, it was a lot to take on, but we're managing, and those students are moving forward in the process and are doing well. This year we decided to decrease it by more than 2/3, because we also have another program similar to the apprenticeship on the horizon that we are looking to develop for this year that may be impactful to your future students. I know the population for this particular presentation are current seniors, but because we have things working in the background that could be impactful to future students, we want to be able to focus on the incoming cohort, our previous cohorts, as well as developing the future program. So that's why this year's group is so small. There is a possibility that it could change. As of now, though, it is 12. And the reason why I'm saying that it's varying is basically as just explained. We don't ever have a set number in mind prior to. It's something that we look over and we go back and forth with throughout the course of the year to really be able to decide on what that number is.
Thank you. Another question, can I be an apprentice even if I did not graduate from a CTE high school? So as we mentioned and we stress, it does require enrollment from a CTE high school. So the answer there is no. And again, once upon graduation, we do need that information with the CTE seal. And for folks that their graduation doesn't align with the current year of the selection process, there is information that's shared for a transit electrical helper, for example, to work-based learning coordinators to connect students with those opportunities. The next question is, how long is the process? So starting from now, this process is anywhere between 4 to 6 months, and the incoming cohort will start in September. And then finally, what else is part of the process? So along with the paperwork in the application, and meeting the team, there is a physical, there is a drug test, and there's also fingerprinting that's part of the process. And I do believe that is all the information from the slides that we have. And I'm just trying to go back to see, Nash, did you want me to drop the link in the chat just in case for everyone? I just copied and pasted. It's not live, so it's not like you can go and apply, but in case it is helpful, is that okay for me to drop it in?
Yes, you can drop that in there. We will open it up, as Diana mentioned, on May 1st. We do understand that you all are about to go on spring break for a week, and then you come back at the end of the month. So we did take that into consideration to do May 1st. As was presented on the slide, all of the documents that we request, you just upload it on there. And, we ask demographic questions on the application. So it's pretty straightforward. If you do have any questions, I'm sure your teachers will be able to assist you. Can a student qualify if you graduate? Yes. If you have students who are 17 and they are graduating early, they would qualify for the program. At the moment, I'm not able to share any details about the future program because it's still something we're working on. So I don't want to make mention of it any further, but I do know that it will be impactful and it will be a great program for New York City high school students. Is there any questions about the application process, the selection process, or anything of that nature? Okay, I have nothing else to add. Diane, I don't know if you have anything you would like to add. Gavaskar will send it back to you.
All right, if there are no further questions, we are going to conclude the meeting. Please be on the lookout for communications from my office regarding the slides. And please keep in touch for all the students. Any other questions you have, you can relay them to your teachers and your work-based learning coordinators, and they can deliver those questions or concerns to me. All right, so I do see one more question. Does the intake process start before September?
Yes, it does. So just as a quick response to your question, once the applications are submitted and we close the application process, those students who have applied and are selected will be reached out to mid-July. And from then, the process just continues on until September.
All right, great.
Hi. Can you touch on a little bit on the drug testing? Is the effect on vaping and weed smoking?
Yes, definitely. Definitely for weed, smoking, edibles, cookies, candies, gummies, all of that. If you're doing it, stop it right now. You shouldn't be doing it, but if you are, stop that, because if it does show up, you will automatically be disqualified.
That's also why the MTA is having problems hiring people, is because they think that because it's legalized in New York, a lot of people who are applying for the MTA are getting let go because they find THC in their system, which is what comes from marijuana. Don't do any of that stuff. It's legal in the state, but it's not legal at this job. So whoever is doing it, don't do it.
And just to add, as William just mentioned, yes, it's legal in New York, but we abide by Federal Department of Transportation regulations. And so for that reason, because it's not legal federally, it is part of the panel that's tested.
Jason, is 7 days absent mandatory? So it is unexcused absences that we look out for. Obviously, people get sick, things happen. If you have notes to cover those absences, we do not take that into account. Just to be perfectly transparent, there were instances in the past where some people did not meet the criteria. So prior to last year, or I should say prior to this year, the criteria was no more than 5 absences and 5 latenesses. Given everything that was going on with the pandemic and virtual schooling and things of that nature, we had to expand that. And so I can honestly say that there will be instances where I'll overlook. Maybe someone may have 8 absences or 9 latenesses or something like that. I may overlook it depending on your responses to the survey, as well as the grades on your transcript, the recommendation letter. So it's not just a fine, it's not a, it's not just a fine line when it comes to your attendance. You know, you may have some issues going on at home, but when you're in class, you're performing, you're doing it, and you're getting those high scores. Your recommendation letter is stellar, as well as, excuse me, your responses to the survey. So just to let everybody know, the survey was something that I implemented last year because I was curious to find out a little bit more about the student. It's very easy for us to look at your submitted documents, look at your transcript, look at your um, recommendation letter, and look at your attendance and say, this is a good fit or this isn't a good fit. No one fits in a gray box. So I look at your survey responses. That's just giving us a little bit more about you. And that information is also shared, just as a FYI, with the departments. They do not know they don't see your transcripts. They don't see your recommendation letters. They do not see your attendance sheets. All they see are your survey responses, because that also gives them a little bit of insight into you. So the 7 days, Jason, it's not mandatory, but I really, really do not think it would not be helpful to you if you had someone who had double or triple that, or if that was you submitting. So we take it by a case basis, but I will say we try not to go too overboard when it comes to absences or latenesses. You're welcome. Is there when we asked if anybody had questions, it was real silent. Now everybody has questions. So does anyone else have any additional questions? And again, as Diana has mentioned, the inbox is also monitored as well. But if you have any additional questions, please feel free to ask.
Is drug testing ongoing during the apprenticeship program?
It's a possibility
Yeah.
that an individual can be sent for randoms. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we get randoms. There was one person in our group. He got random 8 times over the course of 3 years. Some of you will get random, some of you won't. I didn't, for the 3 years that I was doing it, I didn't get random at all until I became provisional. I don't know why, but they didn't random me for the 3 years. But some of you will be random to go get the drug test.
Any other questions?
Remember, guys, free train rides and bus rides for the rest of your 30 years and after your retirement too.
Yeah, he's right about that. All right. If no one else has any additional questions, as Diana has put in the chat box, feel free to message us and we'll monitor. Be on the lookout for the slides as well as the link for the application opening again on May 1st until June 30th. And we look forward to seeing a lot of your students apply. Okay. And so, of course, what if you're absent for weeks and have excuses, but it's not removed from school account? So we do not take into account excused absences. If you're out sick for several weeks due to an illness, as long as that's been documented, we cannot penalize you for that. You were out sick, so we would not take that into account. But it has to be an excused absence. If you're just out for weeks and it has not been excused, then yes, that will count against you. Your attendance is extremely important when you're in school because we take time and attendance here at MTA Transit very seriously. Any other questions?
I don't see anything else come up, so I think that's it. And a reminder, I did drop both the link to the application, not open. It will open up May 1st, but also the link to the mailbox in case other questions come up.
All right. So on that note, again, thank you everybody for attending today's virtual info session. Thank you to Diana, Nyasha, William, Thomas, and we look forward to continuing this partnership. And again, hsprograms@nyct.com, or you can reach out to your work-based learning coordinator, or you can reach out to me, and we'll make sure to address your questions. Thank you, everybody. Look out for the slides and the recording. Have a great day. Enjoy your spring break when it comes. Please stay out of trouble. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good week.